So at Rosh Hashanah, we review our lives. And I recalled that as a young student, I struggled to get good grades on tests. I did not test well. And I had friends who did great. They seemed to get A's easily. But often, when they would get an A, they would be upset. And I'd turn to them, I'd say, "You got an A. You won. What's the problem?" And they would look at me and they would say, "Yeah, my parents are going to be disappointed. They're going to say, 'Oh, so you got an A.' No, why not an A plus?" I couldn't see the difference in a couple of percentage points, but they did. I felt at once both jealous and sorry for them. My issue as a student and then later as a high school educator was that given our industrial style of education, the test is not always a fair measure of the student. And besides, isn't it more important to be a good person than a good student? If you're going to make your child feel badly about one or the other, what do you think it should be? It's Rosh Hashanah, and this is the day that we metaphorically turn in our work. We turn in our deeds of the past year for evaluation. We have until Yom Kippur to do the rewrites, I suppose, but the bottom line is that we ask ourselves, how am I measuring up? Will God ask us why we weren't perfect? Will we ask that of ourselves? As a high school teacher, I encountered many children who suffered with being perfectionists. Personalities who strive to be flawless and who then suffer horrendous self-criticism and anxiety. My heart went out to them as they had so much anxiety that they could hardly appreciate what they were learning, let alone what they were also accomplishing. It seemed like a tragic, involuntary missing of the point. And it broke my heart. That is when I learned the real meaning of Voltaire's famous statement, "The perfect is the enemy of the good." To be perfect is impossible, but that doesn't keep us from trying, and it harms us. My friends, we're living in an age of impossibility. The impossibility of measuring up to intuited and popular notions of the perfect, of the ideal, of success. The deluge of filtered perfection that we see online is a blight of endless curated selfies, humble and not so humble brags, unicorn soulmates, and the endless illusion of other people's #best life ever. The impressions we get from people's digital life are outrageously unreal. We know this, but it still makes us miserable. Once there is perfect, for too many of us, there is no longer good enough. And then we suffer. How do we escape the misery of being afflicted by this illusion? The rabbis teach some essential wisdom that should speak to us today. I'm sure this is familiar to many of you. Ezehu Ashir. Who is the truly rich? Who is the truly content? Hasameach bechelko. the one who is happy, content with their lot, the one who is content with what they have. To be content with yourself and what you have frees you from the charisma of the perfect. This is true and obviously harder than it sounds. A Zen master I once read pointed out that when we're hungry, we spend most of our time thinking about putting food in our mouth. But once we do get food in our mouth, we tend not to enjoy it. Our attention goes immediately to the next forkful of food we will put in our mouth. We miss out on the fact that we're already chewing on what we have and what we want. But Rabbi, do we indeed already have what we want? Is it a problem to want more? Are we to be wholly satisfied with our accomplishments such as they are? Doesn't some measure of comparison help motivate us to strive for excellence? Is being content another way of accepting mediocrity? No, is the answer. Excellence is the theme of Rosh Hashanah. We gather to focus and pray that we get better at becoming the excellent self we can and should be. And that starts with recognizing what is illusion and what is nourishingly real. Another rabbinic teaching takes us a little further. Ezehu Gibor, who is the truly strong? Who is the champion? Hakovesh et Yitzro, the one who conquers, subdues his or her nature. The one who conquers oneself. The essence of Hakovesh et Yitzro is cultivating the will to control oneself. This is one of the hardest things in the world to do. Each of us have flaws and shortcomings, short fuses. Everyday life hands out challenges uniquely designed for you to test you, not to taunt, but to invite you to grow. My teacher, Rabbi Jonathan Omerman, Zichrono Livracha, taught this in the purpose of meditation. The purpose of meditation is to develop within the self the ability to respond and not only react. To respond is the quintessential expression of Kovesh et Yitzro, of conquering oneself. Reaction is very different. We feel, we react. Our feelings are usually more intense at first than they eventually become. And that's why it's important to control oneself. Responding takes time and self-control. Think of those angry emails that you reactively wrote and then regretted sending. Now, think of those angry emails that you wrote, but then opted to not send. To not send an angry email, to not speak in anger, or from a place of hurt, is an excellent way to practice Kovesh et Yitzro, control over oneself. Counting to 10. I remember this as a child. You're upset, count to 10. Counting to 10 before speaking is old, but pretty good advice. Practicing resistance to reaction allows us to have a bigger hand in the life we live. It frees us to live intentionally. Having a bigger hand in the life we live is the essence of our holy days. This is a period of revealing truth to ourselves to better redirect our intentions, to realistically address our habits and our self-destructive patterns, and to achieve what for us would be the good. But are these holy days only about self-help? Is it only about becoming the most actualized and superior version of yourself that you can be? Is life about self-satisfaction? Absolutely not. As I like to say under the chuppah at a wedding, our job is to make ourselves a worthy half, a worthy match for our spouse. Refining ourselves must have an objective beyond being as content or happy as we can be. We go through spiritual and personal refinement to be a better human match to the world, to one another. Again, the rabbis teach, Im ein ani li mili, uksha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani, ve'im lo achshav ematai. Im ein ani li mili, if I am only for myself, who will be for me? I am responsible to and for myself. But if I am only for myself, what am I? I have equal responsibilities to the other. I have equal responsibilities to the world. The world is waiting, and it requires your best you. And if not now, when? There's always tomorrow. Just kidding. Wow, you took me seriously. If not now, when? Rosh Hashanah, Yom Hadin, today is the day. We should not expect to get everything completely right in life. Nobody is perfect. But we are here to perfect and refine and get a little bit better, a little bit more sharp, a little bit more in tune. We are obligated to become the best version of our unique selves as we can be, because the world requires that of us. There's the story of Reb Zusha, a profoundly righteous man whose students gathered around him at his deathbed. Reb Zusha was visibly agitated and frightened that his death was approaching. "Why are you frightened, Reb Zusha?" his students asked. "You have been so good, so wise, so learned. Why are you anxious about passing from this world?" Reb Zusha answered, "When I die, I will not be asked, 'Why were you not like Moses?' I will not be asked, 'Why were you not like King David?' I will be asked, 'Why were you not Zusha? Why didn't you fulfill the potential that I gave you?'" Or we can borrow the statement from a recent politician. "Let us pray that God not compare us to the Almighty, but to our alternative." On Rosh Hashanah, may we be blessed to make progress in perfecting our unique potential for good and avoid the trapping of the perfect. You and the world are waiting. Shana Tova Metuka. May this be a year of sweetness and self-discovery and content. Okay. You want more? No. I like this. Okay. Too short. I hope that made it onto the recording if we're recording. Because those words shall never be heard again. We will open the doors in the back. We will continue now with the Musaf service. As we turn to the Musaf service, for me, the second day at this time has always been the kind of gray area. When we initiate the holiday, it's fresh. Some of us study before the holiday to be prepared, both culturally as well as spiritually and emotionally. But we can lose our attention. Musaf on the second day could be a time to let go of the way we came in and to discover a new way into Rosh Hashanah. Maybe it's paying closer attention to the Musaf itself, to the unique elements, the meaning of shofar, the meaning of memory, and the meaning that we are a part of something much larger than ourselves, that we're not in control. How does that fit in your life? Let's get granular and specific, and let us make this next service all the more meaningful. We begin with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 123. I will invite you to please rise as we prepare for the Amidah.